In this lesson, we're going to talk about protecting your Google News site and provide some resources for learning about what's going on in the Google News world and making sure that you stay off the radar screen of people who would like to see you delisted from Google News. So the first thing we'll look at is this screen, which is the googlenewsblog.blogspot.com blog about Google News. And these posts are written by people who work for Google, and they don't post very often. As you can see, the last post was October 22nd, 2012. The one before that was September 22nd, and then September 19th. So they probably post a dozen times a year or so, and they give you information about changes that they're making to Google News, or advice or recommendations about what to do or what not to do if you are a Google News publisher. So this is kind of a handy thing to monitor and to get on the list if to be notified if there's a new post that comes out on this blog. Another resource that you should know about is the quality of Google News sites. It's productforum.google.com, and you get there simply by searching for Google News site quality. So if we go to that forum, what we'll find is a thread that talks specifically about Google News sites, and this thread's entitled "Report All Spam Sites Here: Helping Google News." And in fact, Google staff have said that they read every entry that's posted in this forum, and essentially what you find in this forum are a lot of posts by other Google News site owners where they say, I found this article on this news site and in my opinion it's spam. Now, Google has said that they will read each one of these complaints, and if they agree with the complainer, they will actually desyndicate or delist the site from Google News. And we have seen many cases where a complaint is written one day, and 2 or 3 days later, that website is no longer included in Google News. So this is something that you need to take very seriously. And the way you do that simply is by not spamming, not posting articles that are outside of the guidelines that you agreed to when you applied to get into Google News. Another thing that is probably advisable in protecting your Google News site would be to take care when you sell a news site and hide your URL in Flippa if you're using Flippa as your sales mechanism. You may also want to use private domain registration when you register the domain that you buy for the new site. And now, why would you hide your identity? Why wouldn't you just be open about everything? Well, you certainly can be open about your identity. The only question would be if you have other sites that Google might consider questionable and they're all associated with your name, or if you don't want your name involved at all, if you want the website to kind of stand apart from your name and be identified by its own corporate or business name or the name that you've given it, and not be identified with your name, that would be another reason to do private registration of your domain name. And there was some fear early on that if a Google News site was sold, that Google would delist it, that in some ways that was against their policies. I have never seen anywhere that buying and selling a Google News site is against their policies. However, what tends to happen is when you try to sell a site, if you portray the site as being a single owner and having no real writing staff, maybe the seller of the site writes all the articles himself, and he says that when he tries to sell it. If Google reads that on Flippa, then they're going to desyndicate you, because that's obviously not the kind of content that Google is looking for. So those are just a few quick tips. And I think you don't need to be too concerned about those things, but you do need to know about them as a Google News site owner.